The Stoics practiced something called negative visualization. Every morning they imagined what could go wrong that day, not to be pessimistic, but to be prepared. When you have already imagined the difficulty, it loses its ability to shock you. When you have already made peace with the possibility of loss, loss cannot ambush you. Most people get hurt again and again because they keep being surprised. They expect people to behave better. They expect life to be fair. The Stoics expected none of this. So, when difficulty arrived, they were ready. Not broken, ready. Epictetus said, "Wish things to be as they are, and you will have a tranquil flow of life." That is not defeat. That is mastery. Quick pause before Principle 5, the one Marcus Aurelius built his life around. 30 seconds of honesty. Everything you're watching right now, this voice, these visuals, this script, is generated with AI. I built this entire channel myself with tools anyone can use. If you've ever thought about starting something like this, a faceless channel, content that works while you sleep, the link to my free community is in the description. It costs nothing to join. Now back to Epictetus. Principle 5. Build your inner citadel. Marcus Aurelius, who read Epictetus obsessively, wrote about something he called the inner citadel. A place inside yourself that no external force could reach, not walls built out of bitterness, a genuine fortress of self, your values, your clarity, your sense of who you are, that does not shift based on what the world does to you today. When your identity is rooted there, someone leaving cannot destroy you, a failure cannot break you. Because your worth was never located in the outcome, most people build their sense of self on things that can be taken: status, relationships, achievement, validation. And so when those things shift, they shatter. Build yours on something that can't be taken: your character, your effort, your integrity, even when no one is watching. That citadel is yours. No one gets inside it without your permission. Principle 6. Stop needing them to understand. One of the quietest sources of ongoing pain is the need to be understood by people who have already shown you they won't try. You explain yourself, you defend yourself, you replay the conversation in your head, finding better words, hoping that this time they'll finally see it. They don't. Epictetus would tell you to stop. Not because you're wrong, because your peace cannot depend on their comprehension. You are not responsible for making people understand you. You are responsible for knowing who you are. The validation you're looking for from them, you can give to yourself, not as a consolation prize, as the correct answer to a question you were asking the wrong person. Principle 7. Use everything. Epictetus said the obstacle is the material for virtue. Every betrayal, every loss, every moment of being misunderstood or broken open is material. It is the exact thing you need to become who you are becoming. This is not toxic positivity. It is not pretending the pain didn't happen. It is looking at what happened and deciding, this will make me more, not less. The people who hurt you taught you what you will not accept next time. The relationship that ended showed you what you actually need. The failure exposed where your real work begins. Nothing is wasted unless you waste it. And when you truly live this principle, the question of what can bother you becomes almost irrelevant because you've turned every hurt into a tool. I told you at the start that I'd give you an 8th principle, the one Epictetus only taught his closest students. The one that ties everything together. Principle 8. Become the proof. You can read every one of these 7 principles. You can memorize every Epictetus quote ever written. You can understand all of this perfectly in your head, and none of it matters until you become the living proof of it, until someone watches you handle a betrayal with calm and quietly decides they want what you have. Until someone watches you keep moving through a loss with dignity and starts to believe they could too. Until your existence is the argument. The Stoics were not just thinkers, they were demonstrations. They didn't write essays about being unbothered. They walked through the world as the proof of it. The point of these 8 principles is not to know them. It is to become someone whose life quietly disproves the idea that the world can shake us. Be that person. There is a version of you that nothing can bother. Not because nothing bad happens to you, not because people stop being unkind or life stops being hard, but because you've built something inside yourself that no one has the key to. Epictetus knew what it meant to be hurt. He was born a slave. No rights, no freedom, no control over almost anything in his life. And yet, he became one of the most powerful minds in human history because he discovered something that changes everything. Between what happens to you and how it lands inside you, there is a space. And in that space is where your entire life is decided. In the next 9 minutes, I'm going to give you 7 Stoic principles from Epictetus that quietly change how you move through the rest of your life. Not theories, not motivational quotes. A real way of standing in the world where almost nothing can bother you anymore. Principle 5 is the one that, when you truly understand it, rearranges everything. It's the one Marcus Aurelius built his entire identity around. And at the very end, I'll give you an 8th principle. The one Epictetus only taught his closest students, the one that ties all of this together. If you click away before then, you'll have 6 interesting ideas. Stay until the end and you'll have something different, a way of living that genuinely changes who you are. While you're watching, drop a comment with the principle that hits you hardest. I read every single one, and the one that comes up the most is what I'll build my next video around. Principle 1. Stop giving people the power to decide how you feel. Epictetus said it plainly. People are disturbed not by events, but by their opinions about events. Think about the last time someone's words hit you hard. A criticism, a dismissal, someone who didn't choose you. The pain wasn't just from what they said. It was from what you decided it meant. About you, about your worth, about what your future now looked like. You handed them the pen and let them write the story. The first principle is to take the pen back, not by becoming cold, not by pretending you don't care, by refusing to outsource your emotional state to people who haven't earned that power. No one can make you feel inferior without your participation. That's not a cliché. That's a description of exactly how the mechanism works. Principle 2. Separate what is yours from what is not. Epictetus built his entire philosophy on one distinction. Some things are up to you, some things are not. Up to you, your choices, your values, your effort, the way you respond. Not up to you, other people's opinions, their choices, the outcome of events, your reputation in someone else's mind, whether they stay or leave. Most of the suffering in your life is coming from the second list. You are pouring energy into things that were never yours to control, and because you can't control them, you keep getting hurt by them. When you truly separate the two and live by that separation, the number of things that can bother you shrinks dramatically. Not because the world changes, because you stop fighting battles that were never yours to fight. If this is already shifting something in you, hit subscribe before we go further. It's free, and it's the only thing that tells YouTube to find more people who actually need this kind of content. Principle 3. Let your reaction be a choice, not a reflex. Between the event and your response, there is a moment. Very small, very fast. Most people live their entire lives never noticing it exists. Epictetus called it the gap between impression and assent. The impression is what hits you. The assent is what you choose to do with it. You do not have to accept every emotion that presents itself as fact. You do not have to act on every impulse. You can pause, examine, and decide. This is not suppression, it is freedom. The person who reacts without thinking is controlled by everyone around them. Every rude comment, every disappointment pulls the strings, and the person dances. The person who has learned to pause is free in a way most people will never understand. Principle 4. Expect difficulty. It removes its power. Quick recap. because some of these need to be heard more than once. Stop letting people decide how you feel. Separate what is yours from what is not. Make your reaction a choice instead of a reflex. Expect difficulty so it can never ambush you. Build your inner citadel where nothing external can reach. Stop needing to be understood by people who won't try. Use everything that happens to you as material. And the eighth, become the living proof. If even one of these landed tonight, drop a comment with the principle that hit you hardest. I read every single one, and the one most of you mention is the one I'll build the next video around. If you want more videos like this, where I take ancient philosophy and turn it into something you can actually use tonight, hit subscribe. It's the one thing that tells YouTube to keep finding people who need this. This is what Epictetus understood that most people never will. You were never as fragile as you thought you were. You only believed you were, because no one ever showed you where your real strength actually lives. Now you know where to look. I'll see you in the next one.